All right, welcome back to episode 183 of the Life and Shy podcast. We had a Cole Gibbens on this week. Cole is a 2:16 marathoner from the UK. He just ran the Berlin Marathon after a pretty tough lead up to the race. Ran 2:29 in the really hot conditions. He talked about kind of what his issues were in the buildup, including some abdominal issues he thinks is caused by Red S syndrome, which is a kind of over fatigue syndrome from pushing the limits a bit too hard in training. So really interested to hear his perspective on that and how that came about. He also gave us some insight on his huge 2:16 London Marathon debut in really warm conditions and what his mindset is going forward in his career, what he thinks he can accomplish. And we also talked about what's next. He let us know what race he has next on the schedule, which is about 10 weeks out. And he also hinted at who his coach is going to be. He hired a new coach, didn't say who it was, but he gave a couple hints on who that might be. So if you're interested in that, make sure you listen to the episode. And of course, if you liked it, leave a review and drop a comment, share with a friend, whatever you need to do. And of course, love you, mean it.
So word on the street is we're talking about our old jobs and our favorite jobs. Well, Chris Striegel used to work at Ken Combs Running Store, and I actually used to work at another one of our sponsors, Mason Construction. Mason Construction was started by my dad about 25 years ago, and it was my first job in high school. I later went away to college, got a degree in civil engineering, worked for another company, and then got hired away to the family business. And it was a top 3 life experience was working in the family business. We have a motto on the podcast. It's find people you love and do life with them. And this was a perfect example of that. When I go back to Louisville eventually to build my forever home, I'm going to have Mason Construction do it. And I've already actually been a customer of Mason Construction. My first house that I ever bought, it was a little 3-bed, 2-bath in St. Matthews. And Mason Construction came through and renovated it, added on to the main bed suite, totally redid the kitchen, and it was an incredible experience while I was actually working for them. So check out Mason Construction at masonconstructionky.com. If you're looking for a renovation or a new house, hit them up, masonconstructionky.com.
All right, welcome back. Episode 183, Life and Shy podcast. We have special guest Cole Gibbens on today. So recently we've had Nick Bester, Ben Felton, Hugo Fry. So we had to have Cole Gibbens on next. We're getting the whole UK running content scene on here. So it's funny because the time zones are a little different. So we always kind of got to work with that. That makes it a little tougher always, but I'm glad we could figure out a time. And I appreciate you hopping on while you're on vacation, man. I thought you were like taking off time just at home though, but I didn't realize you were like on family vacation. So I really appreciate it. And I promise I won't take too long.
Oh, no, you're all good. If anything, it gives me an excuse not to go out in the sun. I can just stay in my hotel room and hibernate like a little vampire.
Where are you guys?
So, we're in Lanzarote, like Club La Santa. I don't know if you've heard of it before. It's a bit of like a sports resort type thing.
What country is it in?
So it's one of the Canary Islands, like South Spain. Yeah.
Nice. I think a lot of like pro cyclists. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong place. Do they
No,
train there?
I think so. Yeah, it's quite a good place for cycling because there's not many cars, and the roads are pretty good. So
Yeah. Okay, that's exactly. I'm a huge cycling fan, and I follow Ineos Grenadiers, and they're always training there. So,
oh yeah.
oh yeah, dude, huge British cycling fan. Dude, well, let's dive in. So, funny connection to how we got you on the pod. One of the guys we coach, Felix, we always joke he's kind of like our recruiter. He'll just like hit up people, or when he sees people in person at expos or whatever, he'll ask them to come on the pod for us, which is hilarious. So it sounded like, from what I understand, is that he's getting a massage in a massage chair at the expo, and then he sees you walking by, and he's like, Cole, and then you come over and chat with him, and he's like, will you come on my coach's podcast? So is that what happened?
Yeah, it's quite funny because I'm used to being like recognized in the UK, but not so much in like foreign countries. So I was just walking around the expo and not really anyone had said anything, so I was kind of caught off guard. And he's just sat in an armchair with like the Normatec like boots on, like they're just filling up with air. And I went, oh, all right, mate, don't get up, you're all good. And I go, oh, nice to meet you, man. And he goes, oh, I love the content. And then he says, oh, can we get a photo? And would you come on the Life of Stride podcast? So. I was like, yeah, like, of course, like, thanks for saying hello. But yeah, he's just chilling there, getting a nice recovery boot kind of massage, and yeah, I was completely caught off guard.
Yeah, that sounds like Felix. He's our big recruiter. He's gotten us like Johannes Machman on. I don't know if you know him, the Adidas German marathoner. And yeah, man, that's so funny. What a funny story. That was really nice of you to let him just stay in his chair and continue his massage. Did you so did you see what ended up happening to him in the race? Or I guess you probably didn't, but how his race went? Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. Tell me.
Okay, so he was going for sub 320, and I guess someone like cut him off at a water station and like twisted his ankle, so he had a DNF. So it's too
No
bad.
way.
Yeah, it was too bad. So
That's so unlucky.
I guess when you're like starting, he was in the B wave, so like I guess with how hot it was, the water stations when like with the big crowd were probably really hectic. So he said there was a lot of jostling around the water station, so that it got his ankle. So
That's
not great.
crazy.
Yeah, man, I know he was ready for a big PB, but that's all right. It happens, you know.
Ah,
Um,
bless him. Well, I
yeah,
send him my love and speedy recoveries.
yeah. He'll be listening, so I'm sure he'll appreciate that. So I guess before we dive into like Berlin weekend, I know, you know, obviously you came off London, you had an amazing race at London 216 and like pretty brutal conditions, which was insane because like pretty much everyone else that day had a really brutal race. So that was awesome. What was the block like leading up to Berlin? I think it was kind of had a few bumps in the road versus the London one.
Yeah, if you were to look objectively and just look purely like at volume, for example, you'd probably be like, oh yeah, well it looks just as good as London, if not better.
Yep.
But I had quite a lot of like health issues kind of crop up during this build into Berlin. So it started off with well some like GI issues, stomach issues, abdominal
Yep.
cramps, abdominal pain, like kind of during and then after runs. So like I'd go for a run and then I'd need to use like the loo on like the run like maybe 4 or 5 times, and then I'd get back from the run and then just be kind of like in agony for the rest of the day, like with like stomach cramps.
Wow.
Um, so I did some like private blood tests just to see if there was anything that was indicating some sort of health issue. Came back with low testosterone. That was the only thing that was like a little bit off. But
Really?
with these private blood tests, you have to be kind of a little bit like careful with how you interpret the results, because these private blood tests, they also sell the treatment for the abnormality. So sometimes you can, I don't know, it can be a bit
Yeah. A little
uh
fishy.
yeah, exactly. So I then went to my GP and got some like NHS blood tests done. So in the UK, we have like the free healthcare.
Mhm.
So that's our kind of mainstream healthcare. So got
Yeah.
some blood tests done. That all came back negative, like nothing abnormal at all. Did some stool samples, so checking for things like bowel cancer and things like that,
Yep.
and that was all clear. So I was really kind of scratching my head, like what's going on? And then 2 weeks before Berlin Marathon, I did the big half, which is like a half marathon in London. You get about 15,000 people do it, so it's like relatively big,
Yep.
but nowhere near as big as like the world majors. And I had the same stomach issues on the run. Like I'd taken Imodium, and like still like nothing could stop these horrible like abdominal cramps that I was getting, and like needing to pass like loose stools. TMI, but that's just the way
I
it is.
got
Like
you.
every runner's kind of experienced it at some point,
Oh
but.
yeah. Yep.
So yeah, so that really got to me, and then I basically just kind of stopped training for a little bit because I was like, "Ah, I can't keep doing this. Like my body's telling me something's wrong." And then the Berlin Marathon was on the Sunday, and on the Wednesday before, I woke up and I was in agonizing pain. Like my abdomen was just so
Oh
like in
no.
a lot of pain basically. So I went to A&E, or what we'd call a UTC, Urgent Treatment Center, and they basically did all the tests, and they were just like, we don't know what's like, there's nothing showing what could be causing this. So this is all roads are leading to a syndrome called red S. I don't know if you've heard of that before. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it's looking most likely to be, which for the listeners is essentially energy deficiency, where you basically overtrained and underfueled for a sustained period of time.
Mm.
And a byproduct of that can be some gut issues and digestion issues. So that's what I've experienced. So yeah, Berlin didn't quite go to plan, especially kind of it was like a polar opposite compared to London, which had gone fantastically. And then Berlin kind of, well, for want of a better phrase, went pretty shit.
Yeah, yeah. So I remember I think I've seen before you were talking about Red S. I mean, how do you combat that? Do you just need to take off like a while from running and just let your body totally get back to par? Or...
So it really depends on how long you've been dealing with it and kind of like how far down the rabbit hole you are. I
Yeah,
think I've caught it pretty early, so as long as I correct my energy intake and start basically fueling for training properly, and that's not just simply calories, that can be anything like macronutrients, micronutrients, just basically making sure that I'm not malnourished
yep,
with respect to training. So with a couple of weeks off and then improving my diet, so I'm getting a nutritionist from October. That's something I'm going to pay for. Um, that should hopefully rectify the situation. And then if it still persists, then obviously then I need to like carry on trying to figure out what it is. But I felt much better since I've basically stopped training. So I think that kind of is confirmation to me
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. I'm kind of like resonating with your story because I had a big breakout race in the spring. I ran 222 in the marathon, and I was getting up to like 200K weeks, like big mileage weeks as well. And then like I was supposed to run Chicago, and I got a sacral stress fracture because I apparently most of them are caused by underfueling because I was training too hard and not eating enough carbs and protein. And you know, to me, and I'm sure you felt the same way. It's like I feel like I'm eating enough, like I'm eating until I'm full, but maybe I wasn't eating the right things, or just maybe I need to eat a little more than I thought. And when you're running that high, you really do have to be eating a ton of food. So, but yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to run Chicago, but I'm resonating with your story because, I had like a perfect spring block, and then all of a sudden the fall just, your body's not where your mind is, not where you want to be. So yeah, well, I hope you can turn it around, man, quickly. That's I appreciate you sharing that because I think people like listening, I'm sure people, as you've told your story, people can probably resonate. Like I'm dealing with things like this and stuff, so it's helpful to share for sure.
Yeah, it's such a tricky space as well because I don't know, growing up I always saw like on the Olympics or on the TV or something, you just look at everyone that was competing at a high level was stick thin, lean as a hell.
Yeah,
So that's kind of what you in your head you aspire to. Especially as like a young athlete in the sport, it's like, oh, I want to be as skinny as possible because that's what the best Kenyans do. That's what the best Americans and Brits do.
yeah,
So it's an easy pitfall to fall into. So I'm hoping going forward that I will still be lean, but at the kind of not sacrificing health or power. So I'll find like a healthy but optimal performance weight as well. Because ultimately, like, I want to run quick, but once I'm like 40, 50 years old, then being healthy and being there for my family will become so much more important than being a quick runner. So yeah, I need to be uh, respectful to myself now, but respectful to myself in 20, 30, 40 years time.
yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. I'm almost 30, and like, so not super old. You're not old either, but like, yeah, we have to think about these things. Like, I'm thinking about, man, if I'm running like up to 200Ks a week, like I'm probably gonna have to replace both knees at some point, at least one hip. Like all of these things are probably gonna have to happen in my future. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like you don't want to destroy your body in your 20s and pay for it down the road when you got kids and all that stuff. So fair enough. I was gonna ask. I'm interested. When did you start running? Did you run like in university, or I know there's like a great club system in the UK. Like, have you been running for a long time or?
Yeah, so I started running when I was 11, like kind of
Oh
back
wow.
at school.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess you could actually say I technically ran before that, but that was just like the odd race for my primary school, which
Yeah.
is like I don't know what you'd call that in America or anything like that, but I think it's maybe like preschool,
Elementary or
maybe.
middle school, elementary
Yeah,
school, something like that.
yeah. So I did some like individual races, but I probably started running when I was about 11. Basically, my mum and dad used to do these ballroom dancing lessons, so like that kind of like romantic Latin dancing.
Yeah.
Um, so me and my sister used to go to those while we were younger because obviously we wouldn't be left at home. And then like we would drive back home and we saw this like big group of people at the seafront because I live near the coast.
Mm.
And I just remember saying to my parents like, "Oh, I wanna do that. Like, is that something that we can do? Like, can I partake in that?" Um, and it turned out to be parkrun, which is obviously now a humongous thing in the UK and it's starting to
Yep.
spread across the world. So then the following week I went to that, and then basically started from there. Then I got into that. Then I joined a club, and then I started to learn about the sport. Then I used to start. Well, then I started training myself and racing and things like that. So yeah, 11, I guess. But yeah, it's just been kind of exponential since then. Just like running more and more and more.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly my story too, around when I started. But the cool thing, I was talking to Nick about this towards the end of his episode. I was like, the UK has like the best running system in my mind in the world because in the US we have like the school system, like high school, and then you can do the NCAA. But like for runners of, any level, like the UK club system is amazing. I think like, and you guys get to run cross country too as adults, which like we do not have any access. There's no races like that for adults. It's all NCAA. Once you're done with NCAA, cross country is like not an option. And I know like not everyone wants to run cross country in the UK, I'm sure, but man, if we had a cross country availability in a club system here, I would be all over that. I would love that. So, hey guys, Chris here. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Ken Combs Running Store here in Louisville, Kentucky. If you're not from Louisville, you can shop online with them at We Run Lou. That's WeRunLOU.com. We have a discount code in the show notes. If you're a newer runner or an experienced runner and you live in Louisville, it's a great place to shop. They have everything you need with apparel, nutrition, awesome assortment of different brands with shoes. And they have carbon racing shoes, trainers, whatever you need, workout shoes. If you're a newer runner, it's also a great place to start. They have an awesome staff, super friendly group of people that work there, and they can get you plugged in with a group. They have a workout group that does track nights, whatever you need to get started with running, just to meet people. It's so important to meet people when you're a new runner. Make sure you go to Ken Combs first. That's like a great place to start. But again, if you're not from Louisville, check out their website. We have the discount code in the show notes. And if you are from Louisville, there's nowhere else to shop for running stuff than Ken Combs. Yeah, you guys have like an awesome setup in the UK for running. And I mean, it goes to show like the London Marathon, wasn't there like a million applicants for
Something
2026?
something stupid like that. But yeah, I mean the UK club scene is insane. Like for example, take my mum for example. She's 63, and she has a group of like basically women of all the same sort of kind of ability and like same style of like athlete, if that makes sense. Like they do it
Yeah,
purely for joy. They're not worried about turning up and winning races or anything like that.
yeah.
And I guess that what I don't doesn't really strike me as you have as many groups like that in America or Australia or anywhere else in the world. And then vice versa, you've then got like groups that I will go to, like my athletic group, my Tunbridge Athletic Club, and like I'll turn up and like and get destroyed by other people that are trying to be competitive. So it's like anywhere you sit on the spectrum or the pyramid, there is a group for you. Like if you're neurodiverse, there'll be neurodiverse groups. If you're a female and you don't feel safe running alone, there are groups for females to run together after work. Like so there's different options. Like if you run so that you can eat cake, there's going to be a group that run so that they can eat cake at the end of it. Like there'll be a group for everyone.
Yeah, I love that too, that like you compete for, I guess, your area, your town, or your city, wherever you are. Like I love that. So you like show up to races and there's a kind of rivalries and stuff. I know from watching your content, like Ben Felton's too, he's at the club races and stuff, and it's really cool. Like it's fun to see. We have nothing like that here, so I wish we did. Uh, but sorry, I got totally sidetracked. We were going to talk about Berlin, and I just like I love talking about the UK club system because it's like so interesting. But
It's
okay,
also really easy to get into as well. Like it's basically just pay a membership, and every club is different. So my Tunbridge Athletic Club membership is actually quite a cheap one for what I get as a result of that. Like you get entry into a lot of races, you get a discount at loads of different kind of brands and websites. So
really,
yeah, so every club's different. So there are some more expensive clubs than others. But yeah, generally you're looking at maybe 100 to £150 a year, which is like that's so cheap, right? Like
yeah,
so.
that's awesome. Yeah, gosh, I need to move to the UK. I don't know where I'll move though. There's a lot of good options. It seems like so. Yeah, that'd be fun. I've never been, so my mom just came back from Scotland, but she said it was nice. Um, but okay, so Berlin Marathon. Sorry, I'm getting back on track here. So Berlin. So you didn't feel good leading up to the race. Was there like any option of like I'm not going to do this race, or were you like I'm in Berlin, I'm doing this race?
Yeah, so when I was in A&E on the Wednesday, my GP, my general practitioner, my doctor, she said, don't go to Berlin and don't do the marathon. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, like I'm not gonna do that. Like, don't worry about it. Wink,
Yeah.
wink, wink. Um, at that point, I was like, oh, maybe I actually shouldn't. I was like, oh, this could actually be a bit, like I don't know. Um, and I got out there and my intention was literally just to jog round, just like cover the distance. It doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, 4 hours, like it doesn't matter what the time is.
Yeah.
But then when I was on the start line and everyone else was like kind of getting ready to go, like in their super shoes, in their sunglasses, they're like matching like shorts, socks and singlet. Like I was like, oh, come on, like let's just have a good time. Let's run reasonably quick. And I basically kind of for the first 30K, I pretty much got quicker as the race went on. So I was starting to kind of like do it. I did kind of like a 30K progressive run, but then I did like a 12K negative progression for the last 12K where I got horrendously slower the closer it got to the finish. But I'd say the last 7K were the hardest 7K I've ever had to run in my life.
Yeah, well, I saw you like made a post. You only took two gels with you, and I guess they had gels on the course, but like, oh man, yeah, I can imagine. Well, with the heat, and then yeah, if you didn't fuel as much as you normally would, I mean, you still run 229, so like pretty hard effort even for 216 guys. So yeah, I can imagine like just that bit of lack of fueling, and then the heat made it pretty brutal at the end.
So I have to say, actually, I saw a post and it was someone slating Berlin Marathon saying that they didn't prepare the course well enough for the heat. But I have to say, I thought the course was impeccable in terms of there was water stations, it seemed like every 1 to 2K. There was gels on offer on course. There was bottles of malt and drink mix available on course as well. So
Wow.
despite me only taking 2 gels with me to the start line, I probably ended up having more carbohydrate intake for Berlin than I did for London. So yeah, I ended up taking an
Wow.
obnoxious amount of carbohydrate on during the marathon at Berlin because it was available on the route. So
Okay, wow. Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like the majors probably have it pretty dialed. Like I've run Boston, Chicago. They're like pretty dialed on the fueling and hydration on course. So yeah, I figured Berlin would be the same. So, but it's too bad that they got a bad weather day. I wanted to ask you too, since you were there. I was doing a podcast on Monday. I was talking about Saway's run in Berlin, Sebastian Saway. And you look at the results, and I was like, yeah, like everyone ran a little slower than like they probably would have if it was better temperature. And Saway ran 2:02, which was kind of like an anomaly, right? Like I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, what do you think of that result? Like, do you think he's like the next world record holder? Do you think, or what? Like, I mean, I'm sure you were there. What was your feelings about like what he ran in the conditions?
yeah, I mean, it's not exactly a rogue prediction, is it? But I would say if anyone's going to break the world record, it would be him.
Yeah,
He does strike me as someone that if you give him perfect conditions, he's going to run something pretty insane because 202 in those conditions is immense. I'd
yeah,
say it's probably, I don't know, at least kind of 2, 3 minutes slower, but just because of the heat. But when
oh
he
yeah,
when you're kind of getting moving at the sort of pace he's running at, you haven't got much wiggle room really. Um, so like I mean maybe if you're thinking oh he had to stop for water a lot more frequently, so maybe if you're thinking oh, okay, he's lost a second per water station. Okay, so that's 30 seconds. Then you take away the actual time for the heat. That's easily like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Suddenly the time starts racking up, and you're going, "Oh, he actually could run sub 2 on a
yeah,
good day." So yeah,
yeah. I was like disappointed that the weather was a little warm because of that. But it was interesting. Like, the women's race run 2:21, but it was like, man, Saway went out an hour flat and still hung on for 2:02, which was crazy.
yeah. I heard that the women had originally asked for 2:15 pace for the
Yep.
race, but then because of the conditions, they actually set out at 2:18, and then obviously everyone had a bit of a bad day as well pace wise. So that just shows you like uh Sawe is just a bit of a machine.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, he's high level. We'll see. John Career's running Chicago, I think, so he might have a stab at the world record too. He's in good shape, we hear. So
yeah, and better
yeah,
conditions than Berlin, I'd imagine.
yeah. Usually it can be warm there sometimes, but we'll see. All right. So Berlin 229. I mean, how did you feel after the race? Like, were you like pretty happy with? I mean, I know like you started the race, weren't gonna like full on race it. You ran 2:29, brutal last 7K. How was like your mindset after the race? Were you like still feeling that marathon high, or were you just kind of like disappointed that you didn't have like the lead up and race day that you wanted?
So it's funny, if you told me, I don't know, 2 weeks before the race, you're going to run 2:29, I'd be like, oh, for God's sake, like that's tragic.
Yeah.
And I mean that with all due respect, because I know that some people would absolutely kill for a 2:29 marathon.
Yeah.
But as a 2:16 guy, you're thinking like 13 minutes off their PB, they're probably going to be a bit disappointed, right? But when I got to the end of Berlin and I ran 2:29, I was so happy. I can't explain how happy I was, because all of the stuff that I'd had to deal with in training, I'd completely lost my passion for running, because every run I was doing was difficult. I was in pain. It was an absolute chore. I didn't want to do it. So to get to the end of Berlin Marathon in 13 minutes slower than my PB, but still have had an absolute whale of a time. Like really, really enjoyed it, despite the kind of the pain I was in after hitting the wall. I was absolutely chuffed with it. So yeah, I think it's probably the one time in my career where I'll be absolutely buzzing with a 2:29. But because maybe in the future I'll make some more sensible decisions and not race if my body is not ready for it. But yeah, I had an absolutely amazing time, and I'm absolutely chuffed with the time given everything that I've kind of been through recently.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really hard to finish one of the majors and like not be happy. Even like if the race doesn't go exactly how you dreamed of, it's just like the environment, like the crowd. It's just like it's so hard not to have fun in like that kind of race environment. Like, I mean, I paced my wife. I've raced Boston before, like, awesome experience. And then I paced my wife to run 3 hours 20 last year. Probably better experience, So it's just like the majors, no matter what time you run, it's just like it's going to be a fun time, no matter what, I think. So,
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. It's just it's one of those kind of moments where you're just grateful. You're like, wow, like
yep.
50,000 people is a lot of people, but when you compare it to, say, like what you said about 1 million people applying for London, that's such a small proportion of people that get to do that and be there and enjoy it. So being as I'm very lucky to be in a position where I was taken out there by Adidas, like my flight's paid for and all of that sort of stuff, like just one of those kind of grateful feelings. I'm like, wow, I'm really lucky to be here. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. So you debuted in 2:16 at London on a warm day as well. I feel like I'm just like thinking in my head, if I debuted in the marathon in 2:16, I feel like there's like a little added, and you have like a following too, right? Like you have YouTube following, Instagram. So people are like following your results and stuff. For me, I would feel like that a little extra pressure with that, like, because that's like a really fast starting time, right? And a lot of things went really well. So it is a bit scary and like daunting knowing like, how hard the block was, how perfect the race was. Like to run 2:16 to start your marathon career, that's just like, it's a lot of like pressure going forward to perform at like that next level, right? Do you feel much pressure from like having a following and knowing how fast you debuted in, or have you like been able to kind of shrug that off?
Yeah, I'd say it depends what kind of mindset you catch me in. On one side, I definitely feel the pressure in terms of there's people following my journey. I have a lot more kind of open doors for me as a result of, say, like good performances. For example, I didn't have to pay to go to Berlin, or I just got entry into the race, or I have access to all the top kit, or I have a free watch if I need a free watch, things like that. So there's an added pressure in terms of there's no real barriers to me other than my time, which is, for example, like I still have to work full time. Um, but then there's the other side where I'm like, I don't feel the pressure because of how nice some people are, and how supportive some people are. So, um, some of the messages I received like throughout this whole process have been like absolutely like lovely. Um, just kind of checking in and actually caring more about my health than my performance, which has been really nice. And I also got a really nice message from the guys that I deal with at Start Fitness and Adidas. It's a guy called Carl, and he basically sent me this message basically saying, look, take all the pressure off of yourself. This isn't your Olympic Games moment. So ultimately you need to enjoy it. So just run at whatever pace means you're going to enjoy it, because that's the main priority here.
How did the Adidas sponsorship come about? Did they just reach out to you after London? And or that's like, I mean, that's super cool. That's like a dream come true.
Yeah, so leading into London, I'd had a bit of a partnership with a retailer in the UK called Start Fitness. They're
Okay.
based in Newcastle, but they have a big like kind of online store presence in the UK. And yes, I've been working with them and kind of inadvertently working with Adidas through them as like a domino effect. So then following London, it was a case of, oh, well, Adidas would like to continue this. We'd like to continue this. How about we make it a bit more of a formal thing, a bit more of a drawn up contract, etc. So I get paid a result of that now, whereas pre-London I didn't. So I guess kind of the London was a bit of a trial period, and then it became a little bit more formal. So yeah, it's been really really cool. There's been no like unnecessary pressure. There's no negative side to it, or I can see at the moment in terms of it feels like it works for all parties involved, I think. But yeah, we'll see.
I've heard other pro contracts just from pros off the record that there's some like performance requirements, right? Or like a certain amount of races you have to run every year. So you have no pressure like that, which is great.
No, so I guess I wouldn't technically class myself as a pro. I guess you could say I'm professional in some ways in terms of I'm always like paid to create content, but I'm not professional in terms of like if I get injured next week, that's not me. I'm not going to lose my job, you know. Or if I don't make the Olympic team because it's not tied to that, I'm not a professional in terms of a professional athlete. I'm a professional runner in terms of I'm paid through the content, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, so my relationship with Adidas and Start Fitness is super flexible, super chill. Yeah, it's convenient for all of us, I think.
And you work full time as an osteopath, right? Which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think in the US that's like a physical therapist, or is that uh am I totally wrong
Yeah.
there?
No, so I think you do have osteopaths in the US, but I don't think I'm qualified enough to be an osteopath in the US. So I think the US is the hardest place to become an osteopath because you need to be a doctor. Whereas in the UK, my master's degree is enough to be an osteopath. So yeah, if I went to the US, I would be a physical therapist rather than an osteopath. Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you'd ever want to like? I'm sure your content, your Adidas deal, everything, like you're probably making pretty solid financial, amount of money doing your content and just the running stuff, right? Is your full-time job being an osteopath ever something that you would stop doing for the running, or do you love it too much to stop doing it?
Love it is it's a strong phrase. It's the sort of thing that I never foresaw like content or running earning me enough money to get anywhere to like buy a house or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I did my degree. And I'm glad I have a job that's rewarding and helps people with their own running journeys. But I'm in the process of trying to reduce the hours slightly. So currently I work 5 to 6 days a week as an osteopath, and I'm in the process of trying to reduce that to 4. And then in 6 months' time, I'd love to reduce that to 3. And then 6 months after, I'd love to reduce it to 2, so on and so forth. I don't foresee myself ever doing less than 1 or 2 days a week because it is a profession that you have to continuously develop professionally.
Right.
So if I ever took time out, it would be a bit of a ball ache to get back into it. So I think I would always maintain that just from a bit of a variety as well. And yeah, like say for example, if I picked up a bad injury, like I broke my leg, for example, making running related content is going to be difficult. So it's
Yeah.
nice to have something else as an option, and something to fall back on. And my partner's an osteopath as well. So that's quite a good like opportunity to have like our own clinic potentially in the future as well. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a passion. If I could only do one, I would pick the content over the osteopathy. Um, but yeah, it gives me a good diverse range of skills and a diverse range of knowledge in terms of like running. We're going to pick up injuries, so I'm kind of well suited and well placed to kind of deal with those injuries for myself.
Yeah, that sounds like a very ideal situation for you because, like, it sounds like again you can like drop off days as you progress more in content and stuff. Like for me, I just went full time doing this and coaching. I had like a corporate job, right? So it was like you're in or you're out kind of situation. So it sounds like you have a really good, yeah, and what you do kind of is really compatible with running. So sounds like a good situation. And yeah, I think, at the rate of progress you're going, I think you're just going to continue to get bigger and bigger. And the good thing is, running is massive right now. So people are looking to people like you for like inspiration to learn more about the sport, that kind of stuff. So I think people like you that are putting out good, positive running content, it's just going to be like exponential growth the next like 6 months to a year. So that's really exciting.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully, people will always find my content enjoyable. There is definitely times where it's kind of a bit of like a scratch your head, like, oh, what do I do that's like original, or how do I come up with something else that's not just repeating what I've done before? That is tricky, but yeah, hopefully I'll carry on to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think if you just like, right, focus on what you're passionate about and just, be real with your audience, I think that's always what they're looking for is people like just being their real selves. And that's what they like is, they watch because they like the personality and stuff. So, yeah. So again, you've run 216. What's your, long-term vision for your running career? I think surely you're ranked pretty high in the UK marathon time, like in terms of UK marathon times this year. I would imagine top 20 probably, right? So, or do you know around what you're ranked?
I think it's somewhere around 14th. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, in terms of long-term goals, I guess not to be kind of cringy, but I guess to always keep improving is like obviously
Yeah.
a goal. Um, I would love to get to a point where I could qualify for an Olympic or a World Championship team, but the way that the standards keep going, it feels like that's going to carry on getting further and further away from me. Like every time I improve by a minute, the standard's going to reduce by a minute as well. So it might be one of those things that I can never quite get there, but we'll see. I'd love to make the 2032 Olympic Games in I think it's Brisbane. Um, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think, again, starting at 216, like I think that's kind of what I figured your answer would be because like I feel like if you do your debut marathon at that and you're so young still, it's just like a lot of doors are open, like or a lot of as long as you stay healthy, you can make massive improvements still at your age, which is really exciting. And we had I don't know if you ever met or talked to Jake Bearclaw at all, the ran to Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's run 214 too, so he's kind of in a same like similar situation where it's like, you're ranked pretty high in the UK, so you can be dreaming, like realistically dreaming about those things, right? Which is really exciting. So, yeah, you're in a super exciting spot. Do you have any races lined up in like the near future, or are you gonna take a pretty extended break from racing?
So my next goal race is Valencia Marathon. That's in 10
Oh,
weeks
nice.
on Sunday. So yeah, not long to go. Um, but I'm trying to kind of rectify all the mistakes that I've made in the Berlin block. So for example, I felt like I did almost too much training for Berlin, and that kind of ended up being my downfall. Like I overtrained myself, not enough quality, too much quantity. Um, Whereas Jake Barraclough, for example, I think he's in a bit of an enigma. Like his body doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a coach from October 1st. I've already got one lined up, but I'm gonna announce that at a later date. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm hoping to let them make objective, sensible decisions rather than me being quite subjective about my training. So yeah, but Valencia Marathon's the A goal. There'll probably be a couple of B goal races along the way, maybe like a 5K, 10K, or half marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question was, are you using a coach? So yeah, I won't ask who it is, so you can make your announcement. But I actually started using Victor Schmengs, which is Ben's
oh yeah,
coach. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. He's cool. He's cool. He's been really good. So unfortunately I got injured like right after I started with him, but looking forward to the future with him. But I
Well,
think it's
you've both got the moustache, haven't you? So
yeah. His is a moustache, like, or how the French say moustache, and mine's a mustache. So yeah, he's got the curl at the end. So mine's not long enough for that, but he's got that whole like hip look too. His like tats and stuff. So I need to work on that. I don't got any cool features like that. So but yeah, he's a cool guy. So I was self coached too in the spring. I think it's good. Like it's cool that I guess you self coached for London and now like you want to hit that next level and you just want some advice from someone. I think that's like a great move, and it's always good to like just bounce ideas off people. And yeah, I think like that's a good way to change the stimulus, which usually leads to more growth. So that sounds awesome that you got a coach.
yeah.
What were you doing? I guess you had a successful London block, and then leading up to the Berlin block. Like, what were your kind of staples in training? Were you doing like double threshold, or what was kind of like a normal like peak volume week look like for you?
Yeah, so I basically tried to replicate what I did for London, but with more volume. Um, so for London, I kind of hit an average of like maybe 200K a week. So then I just tried to basically push that average up for Berlin, so like 220, 230 if I could. But what that led to is like actually less quality. So basically, I'd wake up every day and I was just knackered. And I thought over time that my body would just get used to it, and it'd be like suddenly in 4 weeks' time I wouldn't be knackered. But that just never really seemed to happen. So yeah, I have been doing like a bit more of a double threshold style block. So like on a Tuesday I'll do like an LT1 lactate threshold 1 session in the morning, and then do a lactate threshold 2 session in the evening. And then a Saturday would be a bit more of like a marathon classic session, 4x5K, that sort of thing. But I just found that because I wasn't doing any of them to a good standard because I was just tired, that I was just getting slower. Like I just was not improving at all. Like you'd think doing 220, 230K a week, like your aerobic capacity would be insane.
Yeah.
But I think because I was just tired all the time, I was not absorbing the training. It was just survival. So going forward, I'm going to change that. I don't actually know whether the coach that I'm going to be following adopts a double threshold approach. I'm going purely kind of going in blind, like I'm putting all of my faith into this coach. And I won't question what they say, or anything like that. I'm going in, as I said, completely open-minded, and I don't actually know what my weekly structure is going to look like. So yeah, it's going to be, yeah, hopefully stimulating and yeah, a bit of a new chapter.
Yeah, that's exciting. I think you made a good point too. Like high mileage is good. And again, Jake Barraclaw ran to Japan. Bit of an anomaly. His body can handle that like crazy stuff. But I think like around 200 Ks, if you're at your level, there's probably like you start riding the line of like, yeah, I can get this like super high volume in, but at what cost of like, because the workout days are the most important days, right? Like that's when you're making those huge fitness jumps. So it's like at what point is it like killing my quality doing all this quantity? So you kind of gotta, and everyone's different, right? Like there's different lines to it and stuff. So, but yeah, I think like that's kind of the line that I found too in my training. Once I got over 200 Ks, my workouts suffered and I felt much worse at that line. So I think that's like a pretty, even for professionals, I think a lot of them don't really like push over that 200K line because that's kind of where things get a little out of proportion.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I've learned from this block is more does not equal better. Uh, so yeah, gotta take that lesson on the chin and apply it to the next block.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, so for Valencia, that's fairly soon, right? 2.5 months. Do you have like a time in mind, or are you just trying to get like back close to that 216 time, or are you like all in on a PR for that race?
Yeah, so one thing I've definitely learned from Berlin is that I always thought that if I wasn't in PB shape or PR shape, that like I wouldn't enjoy it or like there was no point lining up on the start line. But what I've learned from Berlin is you can line up, not be in PB shape and still have a really, really good time. And just how enjoy yourself. So no matter what shape I'm in for Valencia, I will line up on that start line and I will give it everything I've got. And that might be 230, 225, 220, 215. Who knows?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I want to get as quick as possible. But if my coach said, right, you're only going to run 225 in Valencia so that you can then run 212 next year. If that's what they believe is the best route, um, say for example, then running 215 now, but then only 214 next year, like I'll take their advice and ultimately whatever's going to get me the quickest over my running career is what I want to do. I don't want to just be good now. I want to be good and as good as possible over my entire career. I want to reach the highest heights I can reach. So
Yeah, I think that's really good advice for anyone listening to. It's like you need to have if you like have an ultimate goal as a runner, a time goal, yeah, you need to have a long-term outlook. And sometimes I lose that too. I want like instant gratification. I want that next race to go perfect. But yeah, you're right. There needs to be stepping stones along the way. And you need to, yeah, be careful not to, because again, if you just came off Berlin, right? If you do 10 weeks, like all out going for, that 214, right? That next big step, like maybe you end up injured, maybe your red S gets worse, whatever. So yeah, I think I love your outlook. I think the long-term outlook is like so good. And Yeah, man, I'm excited. Like again, 216 debut. You're young. Like it's just like the world's your oyster. The running world. It's you're in a really cool spot. So I love your outlook, and I think that's really going to pay off. Hopefully, you and your new coach really mesh well together. I'm interested to see who it is.
Yeah. So he's well, it's actually a couple. They both coach, but it's I primarily reached out for
Okay.
the male of the couple because I followed his running career as I was growing up. But they're both equally as successful, like both very accomplished runners. So it'd be interesting to have like kind of both of their inputs. Like two heads are better than one type thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I won't tell you their names until I've released it in a YouTube video.
Yeah. That's a little hint though. I can't really think of who it might be. Well, I have some guesses, but yeah, I'll leave it for a YouTube video. If anyone in the comments wants to guess, yeah,
So,
let us know.
I mean, they're UK based, but I've had a few people say David and Megan Roche from the US, but it's not them. But yeah,
Nah, I have an idea, but nah, I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it. So, uh, cool. Do you have any races like in the future that you have circled, like marathon wise, that you like really want to do, like a Boston, New York, or any specific races that are like I have to do this race?
yeah. So obviously the majors, that's the one that first comes to mind. In my head, it was the majors and Valencia. They're the ones I want to accomplish. Obviously I've already done two majors this year. I will have done Valencia by the end of the year. So then it just leaves the American, Tokyo and Sydney races to do. But then by then they might have added, say, Cape Town or Shanghai or something like that. So we'll see. Just hopefully they don't add them so quickly that I can't ever complete them.
I
But
think like
yeah, we'll see.
I think people that are really into the majors, right? I think they can add however many majors, right? They can add three, four, five more. People will still do it because it's a major, right? So like people responded really well to them adding Sydney. Like people are going to Sydney in flocks. So yeah, people are just obsessed with a major. So if they add two, three more, I think the people will go, but I don't know if I will. That just seems like a little too much having like 10 of them. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think 10's the absolute limit. I don't think you can go higher than 10, but I think this is kind of a bit of an unsolicited opinion. Like I know you didn't ask, but I
Yeah.
think my opinion is that they should have made like a minors. So they should have done like a second tier of like majors, if you like. So they should have done like Sydney, Valencia, Copenhagen, Cape Town, Beijing. Like, you know, they should have built like a second tier of them and made them like a separate entity and maybe called them the minors, or if they want to call them something else, I don't know. But yeah, just I don't like the idea of like having this thing that's been like it's got its prowess, it's got its heritage, hasn't it? The majors, but now it's being adapted, and I don't like that. I like tradition. So, like, say for example, if they suddenly changed the London Marathon course. To make it faster, I wouldn't like that. Just leave it as it is. Like if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know. So, yeah, I like the idea of the six majors, but never mind.
That's not a bad idea. Like maybe people could run, like if you run a few of those like minor races, then you have like a better chance of like a lottery in the majors or something. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Might have to pitch that to somebody.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've heard of the super halves, like the super half marathon. So it's Prague, Cardiff, Copenhagen, Valencia. I think Berlin's one as well. I can't remember
Okay.
the sixth. But yeah, they're basically like fast half marathons across Europe.
Yep.
And yeah, like that's a similar sort of like thought process. I'm thinking is like you have like say you got the world majors, maybe you have the super marathons, and it's like this separate thing, and they're all ones that are designed to be quick, or they're just like their own tier. I don't know, but yeah,
Huh. That's a great idea. Huh. Yeah, you'll have to pitch that to somebody, or maybe I doubt anyone who would make that decision is listening, but if you are, let us know.
yeah,
Uh, but all right, man, before we wrap up here, so one of our co-hosts, Danny, he always asks this question, and you can think about it for a sec too, if you can't think of it off the top of your head. But so he calls it the billboard question, and it's so let's say we always say New York, but since you're in the UK, we'll say in London, the busiest intersection in London. You get a billboard, and it's your message to the world. It doesn't have to be running related. It can be whatever you want it to be. What's on Cole's billboard? So it could be like a quote. It could be an image. So what's your message to the whole world on your billboard?
okay. So this is actually something that I got from my partner. So when she first said this to me, like it wasn't exactly mind blowing. Like I guess it's a pretty simple concept, but it's something that I definitely think about a lot. And it's that we're all living for the first time. So give yourself that space to make mistakes. Give yourself that space to kind of shoot for the moon and miss, you know? And also being understanding of other people making mistakes. Like we're all living for the first time. We're not going to get it right. So when she first said that to me, that kind of stayed with me, to be honest. So yeah. And it's something we say to each other a lot. Like if we ever do make a mistake in our relationship, for example, or if I make a mistake in my running, or maybe I've had an argument with my mum, maybe she'll say it's her first time living, or she'll say it's your first time living, and I think that's a really nice quote that I like to live by. And yeah, it came from her, so I can't take credit, but
That's I can imagine the billboard is like either a black or like maybe like a black background, white lettering. We are all living for the first time, period. That'd be an awesome one. Yeah, that's a
might
great
drop.
one.
Yeah,
We had our last guest was one of our close friends we had on, and his was who are you becoming? And that's kind of ties in with it. So yeah, we get a lot of good answers from that. I'm glad we ask it because we usually don't get running related answers, and I really liked your answer. That's a really good one. But all right, Cole,
but I'm a
where?
I'm a
Oh,
big
go ahead.
fan of quotes. I kind of spit out quotes all the time. I'll just say something to my partner, and she'll be like, "Where have you got that from?" And I'll be like, "Oh, it's Matthew McConaughey." No. Um, so, so yeah.
Are you the kind of guy that has a quote as your wallpaper on your phone or no?
Uh, Not currently, but I do have, I think. Let me have a look if I've still got one. Yeah, there you go. I actually do have one as one of my options. So
Let's
one
hear
that
it.
I've got as my option that oh God. Uh,
If it's bad, no
uh,
worries.
well, once is a mistake, twice is a choice.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
So
you're the quote guy. You should start every YouTube video with a quote like that, like just one of your quotes. That'd be funny.
yeah, that would be, I'd run out pretty quickly. I'm pretty boring, but
Yeah. All right, Cole, where can people find you? Like your Instagram, YouTube, where can people find you?
So it's a pretty well thought out username. A lot of thought went into this. It's Cole Running. Uh, I have thought about changing it to just my name at some point, but I don't know. I feel like it's just Cole Running now, you know. Yeah, and that's the same on Instagram, Strava. It's Cole Gibbons, and then YouTube's Cole Running as well. So yeah.
All right, I will link all those in the show notes, of course, as always. So make sure you give Cole a follow if you don't. Follow his journey to Valencia Marathon. And Cole, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it on vacation. Hopefully, I didn't keep you too long, but really appreciate it, man. It's nice to get to know you, and you made a huge fan out of me. So I wish you the best of luck, man.
Oh, I appreciate that a lot. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Cool, thanks, man. You too.
No
See ya.
worries. Take care.